Tonight's Omaha Lancers Team Challenge is brought to you by the Omaha Lancers hockey team, Kelly's Bowling Pro Shop, Columbia 300 Bowling Tournament, Bowlers Pro Choice, the High Rollers Tournament, and by Polinsky Insurance. Welcome to Wildcat Lanes in Papillion, Nebraska, where today it's the finals of the Lancer Team Challenge. Good evening, I'm Greg Shea, along with John Lucido and John. Three teams that advanced to today's finals. The Lancer Kelly team, Miller Time, and Bowlers Emporium. We've got three talented teams here tonight.
Yes, we started with a full field of 24 here, and we've narrowed it down to three teams by using the Baker format finals. It will be very exciting.
They have bowled a lot of games. There's been a lot of excitement in this building. It's come down to this. The cameras, the lights are on. These guys got to perform now.
Yes, television always tends to bring some surprises out in some people, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
All right, we're going to get things started. When we come back, our first two teams, Bowlers Emporium, will square off in the semifinals against Miller Time when we continue in a moment on the Lancer Team Challenge. Tonight's Lancer Team Challenge is sponsored in part by Wolf Brothers, your Western wear consultants. Also by Firestone out of Papillion, Nebraska, from the fine folks at Firestone. Also by Busy Bees Monogramming. From bowling shirts to hockey jerseys, we can do it all. Busy Bees Monogramming. And finally, Miller Beer, today's title sponsor of the championship frame.
Hi, this is Frank Anderson. Hockey time is indeed here in Omaha, and O2 TV is your ticket to USHL excitement. This season, O2 TV will bring you Lancer games live from the Coliseum and on the road. We'll have the hits, the goals, the saves, everything but the popcorn. Omaha Lancer hockey right here on O2 TV.
The Green Bay Gamblers versus the Omaha Lancers, Friday at 7 on O2 TV.
The pressure is on today for Joe's bowling tour.
That's right. Joe is really off his game today and needs a strike here just to break 100.
It's a bad throw, and it cost him.
I think it's clear Joe is just using the wrong ball for his game.
He needs to get down to Tom Kelly's Bowling Pro Shop in Westgate Plaza.
Tom has been fitting and drilling balls for 37 years. He knows what he's doing and how to get the right ball for you.
Joe can even update his other bowling equipment since Tom Kelly does have the largest inventory of balls, bags, and shoes in Nebraska.
Looks like Joe did the right thing.
Perfect 300.
Maplewood Lanes, the proud sponsor of the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour. Coming up May 18th, the Omaha Classic. Call for more information, 572-9393. That's the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour at Maplewood Lanes. Welcome back to Wildcat Lanes here in Papillion, Nebraska, as we get set for the finals of the Lancer Team Challenge. And I'm joined again by John Lucido and John, ready to go, semifinals.
Mark Birkenbein coming up on the lane number 5 for the opening shot of the challenge. Pretty good shot. Solid four-pin. A little bit high in the pocket. The ball just coming up on the headpin. Just a little too much, maybe.
So Mark Birkenbein, 29, out of Kansas City. So pick up the spare.
Simple spare, shouldn't be a problem. Should start the Emporium team off with a spare. Straight down the side. Perfect.
These guys, you know, at this stage in their careers, let's put it in maybe in golf terms. That's like a 2-inch putt for these guys. Spares like that.
Yeah, it should be. When you get to this point in the game, the spare should be second nature to most everybody.
Rick Miller for Miller Time.
Rick's first shot on lane number 6, a little bit slow, causing the ball to hook a little bit more than he expected. Ball went high, leaving the 4-7.
We might mention Rick Miller along with Kevin McGear. Both these guys, a lot of experience when it comes to the World Team Challenge. They both competed last weekend or 2 weeks ago in Dallas-Fort Worth in an actual Team Challenge event.
Yes, they did. They were on national television, handled it quite well. rather surprising out of Rick, missing the simple 4-7 to the left. Just a fluke of nature, as we mentioned earlier. Television tends to bring some surprises, and that's the first one.
And this is Jeff Barnett for Bowlers Emporium.
Jeff making a little of an adjustment off Mark's shot. Ball skidding a little farther than he expected, leaves the dinner bucket. The toughest part of this fair is to guard against the chop, the ball covering the 2-pin. He might leave the 5. Somewhat of a difficult spare. Let's see what his plan of attack is.
What about the lane conditions here today? These lanes specifically have been dressed for the finals.
In watching the semifinals earlier today, the lanes look pretty playable. A large amount of oil in the middle. This pair hasn't been bowled on, and the back ends tend to hook a little bit more than what we would expect. Exactly in that situation there, the ball hooked a little bit at the end, causing him to chop that 2-5 as we mentioned.
And up next for Miller time, it'll be Jim Dill Jr. He'll bowl the 3rd and 8th frames.
Randy Wilson on lane number 6 for the
You're right.
time team.
Randy bowls out of the Gateway Bowl Center in Lincoln. And that brings us back to Bowlers Emporium. Eric Van Hoosier out of North Kansas City's Pro Bowl.
Quite a list of accomplishments for Eric. 16 300s, 12 800s in his list of conventionals. See how he starts out. What a bad break that was.
And he leaves the 1-2-10. I think I noticed right away, John, is that a couple of young bowlers right here for Bowlers Emporium, both Barnett and Van Hoosier, both only 24.
Yes, they are on the little bit young side. Don't have a lot of experience under their belt. Eric leaving the 1-2-10, also known as the washout, missing it slightly. Had been missing the 10-pin. Another open for Bowlers Emporium. Not a good start for them. Miller time needs to take advantage of that now. Capitalizing on Randy Wilson's strike. Jim Dill would like to do that here.
And Jim Dill Jr. will leave a couple of pins standing. He actually bowls out of your bowling center in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is here in the last couple of weeks has gained a lot of attention because of Jeremy Sonnenfeld. And we'll talk more about that, obviously, I'm sure, throughout the day.
Yes, we will. Jim Dill Jr. leaving the 6-10s, the same spare that Rick Miller left on the opposite side of the lane. He does cover it, though, getting the spare, giving Miller time a 13-pin lead coming into the 3rd frame.
So a good pickup by Jim Dill Jr. If you just joined us, this is the semifinals of the Lancer Team Challenge. With the team advancing on from these two games, will face Lancer Kelly's team, who's sitting and watching this, and a strike coming from Bowlers Emporium, Pat McLaughlin.
Pat McLaughlin, the only bowler out of Omaha on that team, might have taken a little hometown advantage here by striking on lane number 5 here at Wildcat. Probably a little more familiar than the other bowlers from Kansas City.
Up next for Miller time is Matt Bogues. Left-hander here, a couple of left-handers, and Bogues with the strike here in the first game of the day in the semifinal match between Bowlers Emporium and Miller time.
Great shot by Matt Bogues. Very solid form by Matt, but the great execution of his delivery, but 10 in the pit.
And finally, the anchor for Bowlers Emporium, and with the strike, Larry Stepp, who is another guy that you're familiar with.
Yes,
who played actually collegiately for the University of Nebraska.
Bowled with Larry in the national championship team in 1990 at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. He has some experience television under his belt.
And we'll go back to Miller time. Kevin McGear is going to... He's actually looking like he... Well, I've been told we are going to take a break. The truck is saying that. We will come back to the Lancer Team Challenge. And up next, it'll be Kevin McGear when we return. Become a better bowler with the Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp, July 27th through August 1st at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln. Call for more information, 1-800-535-0678. That's Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln.
When it's your choice, make it Bowler's Choice. Bowler's Choice Pro Shop, that is. Omaha's newest full-service pro shop. Owned and operated by PBA professional Rich Abood and Doug Laird, Bowler's Choice offers one of the state's largest selections of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories, plus friendly professional while-you-wait services, including drilling and fitting. Don't make a shopping split when you can strike it right at Bowler's Choice, 102nd in Maple, next to Valentino's in Maple Village. Bowler's Choice, the perfect choice in pro shop.
It's equal parts, sweat and steel. It's decisions made in the split of a second. And pain endured for the length of a day. And at the finish, you're either toasting victory or getting set to do it all over again next week. It's auto racing, the way we do it, on the Miller team.
The High Rollers Tournament, July 1st through July 9th in Las Vegas, the richest amateur megabuck tournament. For more information, call 1-800-257-6197.
And Kevin McGear will be up as we come back here in this fifth. In the fifth frame for Miller time, he will have to respond to Larry Stepp, who just had a strike for Bowler's Emporium.
Kevin McGear would really like to strike here to match the double that Bowler's Emporium team has. Great shot.
Well, that is a way to respond. I tell you what, and that's the way these guys are the anchors on their teams.
Yes, in the semifinal round, the position round, just prior to the television, Kevin McGear needed 2 strikes in the 10th frame in order for their team to make it. Watching his shot here again, we see perfect shot right in the 1-3 pocket, all 10 pins in the pit, just like it should be done.
And back to the top, it'll be Mark Birkenbein for Bowler's Emporium.
Another great shot by Mark. I think the Bowlers are starting to overcome the early TV jitters, and now we're starting to see them loosen up, making much better shots.
The lane conditions, and this will be a question that we'll maybe have to ask Dick Stevens, but these would be the same conditions used throughout the bowling alley. This isn't a special condition just for the finals, I would assume.
No, what has happened is that these lanes weren't used earlier in the day, so basically what they're doing is they're going back to the way that the lanes were when they very first started this morning. Usually after the bowling has occurred for a little while, the lanes tend to carry down and open up, as we say, where the oil gets into a pattern and allow the ball to get to the pocket a little more consistently, a little easier, and that's what we're starting to see now.
And Jeff Barnett for Bowler's Emporium. Second shot of the day, and he gets the messenger for the strike. So a big ball by Jeff Barnett.
Great shot. Watch the head pin. It's the pin in the center. We'll go to the sideboard. It's what we call the messenger or the scout. The ball with that rotation action causes the head pin to go all the way to the side and then back across the lane. Smack.
And back to Randy Wilson for Miller time. And he gets the ringing 10.
What a bad break for Randy. Seemed like a perfect shot, the ball going right in the pocket. The 3-pin hitting the 6 just a little on the inside, causing the 6 to go right around the 10, called the solid 10. He needs to cover the spare in order to keep the match relatively closer. If a spare here by Miller time will cause them to be down by 12 pins with another strike for Bowler's Emporium.
So Wilson with the spare shot, he's able to pick that up. And the thing I noticed, too, about this team challenge, these guys all weekend now have been feeding off each other. They work together as far as their shots are concerned, don't they?
Yes, they do, and that's a key to success in the Baker format. You can't get one player to carry a team. You really need to have all 5 team members playing together, and that's what these teams have done in order to get this far.
Eric Van Heuser for Bowler's Emporium, and he will leave the 10.
Almost a instant replay of Randy's shot.
Exactly.
Same type of thing. 6-pin just ringing around the 10. Seemed like a great shot, just didn't carry the break.
The biggest thing here, though, is just to close out that frame, though, and not leave a spare. And I'm sure that that's the whole focus.
Yes, it is. In Baker format, opens are very detrimental to your score, and that's what you need to avoid. So he just wants to cover the spare and move his team on, and we'll have a very close match.
And Van Heuser does so. He picks up the spare. And on the replay, we'll see this. Just the 10. Easy shot for Van Heuser.
Yep. Easy shot for these type of players. He's using the whole lane towards the fourth arrow. That's what bowlers like to do.
And a shot for Jim Dill Jr., and he gets the messenger to come across and knock down the 10-pin.
Not only did he get the messenger, he avoids a very, very bad break. Would have been the pocket 7-10 split. Watch the head pin go to the side. The 5 just catches the 7. The head pin flies across the lane, knocks off the 10, and he gets a strike.
And right back to Bowlers Emporium. Shot in the pocket, and yet another messenger. And the crazy thing is we're almost seeing the same thing on one lane onto the other. We've seen a couple of times now where teams have been able to do that. And we are going to have more bowling here from the Lancer Team Challenge at Wildcat Lanes when we come back. Tonight's Lancer Team Challenge is sponsored in part by Wolf Brothers, your Western wear consultants. Also by Firestone out of Papillion, Nebraska, from the fine folks at Firestone. Also by Busy Bees Monogramming. From bowling shirts to hockey jerseys, we can do it all. Busy Bees Monogramming. And finally, Miller Beer, today's title sponsor of the championship frame.
Introducing Rage from Columbia 300. Let it out.
Ken Ostlund has kept his car and boat insurance with American Family for over 20 years.
My grandson and I really enjoy fishing together. If we could, we'd fish every day. Way back when I chose American Family, I wanted an insurance company I could depend on. They've never let me down.
All your protection under one roof.
American Family Insurance.
Call Phil at 697-9980 for your personal review or quotation.
Amateur Bowlers Tour. It's a weekly traveling tournament with 2 divisions. Classic is $189 and under. Masters is $190 to $220. Entry fee $38 for the Classic and $55 for the Masters. Membership for the ABT $25 a year. For more information, call 398-3078. And we continue at Wildcat Lanes with Bowlers Emporium and Miller Time here. This semifinal match, John, really hooked up in quite a battle.
Yes, we do. We have a great battle going here. Matt Bogues from Miller Time would like to work on this strike that he has for his team on the 8th frame. If he can do that, they'll advance to a 14-pin lead. He needs to get this strike. There it is.
Great shot by Matt Bogues. 26-year-old out of Lincoln, Nebraska, bowling out of Sun Valley Lanes, and I'm sure that you've had a chance to see him a number of times bowl in your own center.
Yes, I have. He made a great pressure shot there. He won the State U.S. Open Championship a couple years ago, and that's how he managed to do it, because he can bowl under pressure.
And the pressure goes right back on to Larry Stepp. He has to hit the pocket. He does, and Stepp responds with a strike here.
Larry Stepp, more of the hook-type player, using more of the lane. The ball covers more of the lane surface as he hooks the ball a great deal. Getting a good break here on the first shot in the 10th frame. Light pocket strike.
He recently won the Hustler Tournament down in Columbia, Missouri.
This is the strike he would like to get to put some pressure on the Miller Time team.
Stepp almost got it. He leaves the 7-pin, but a good effort by Larry Stepp, and he'll have that left with a pickup.
It was a good shot, just a fortunate break. The ball coming in behind the head pin caused the 5 to miss the 7. Simple spare. What that will cause is the Miller Time team, Kevin McGear, to get up. He'll need a mark in order to win the first match.
And a rare miss by Larry Stepp. And we'll see it on the replay, John. He just misses this to the right.
He switched to a harder type bowling ball. As you notice, a different type of bowling ball goes very straight, not quite what he planned, missing the 7-pin to the right.
Back to Kevin McGear. Adam McGear's shot in Lincoln. And with Miller Time, he's able to get the strike here in the final frame. A big ball right there
Very
for
lucky
McGeer.
break for Kevin. Actually, should have been a 4-pin or possibly worse. Watch the action of the 2-pin and the 8-pin. 2-pin falling around into the 5, knocks into the 4, and the 4 falls forward. Very rare, folks.
And again in the 10th, McGeer. Hitting the pocket once again. That is a clutch performance here by Kevin McGeer.
We saw the same thing earlier in the position round match just prior to the television show where he got the strikes when he needed in the 10th frame. With another strike here for Kevin McGeer and the Miller Time team, if he can do that, they'll have 237 versus Bowlers Emporium 211. That'll give him a 26-pin lead going into the second match.
And that would be a big lead heading into that second match. He will not get the strike, but nonetheless, Miller Time will take the lead as we get set to go into that second game. Coming up next, after a commercial break, we're going to hear from the folks at Kelly's Pro Shop about resurfacing of the bowling ball. More from Wildcat Lanes in a moment. Maplewood Lanes, the proud sponsor of the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour. Coming up May 18th, the Omaha Classic. Call for more information, 572-9393. That's the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour at Maplewood Lanes.
A successful business relies on excellent service and teamwork. No one knows this better than Fred and Rose, owners of Big Fred's Pizza. For 32 years, Fred and Rose have been working to make Big Fred's Pizza the finest restaurant in Omaha. Rose makes sure every Big Fred's Pizza is baked to perfection using the highest standards of quality. And Fred, well, he makes sure the right game is on TV and the beer is always cold.
Is this a great job or what?
Big Fred's Pizza, 32 years in the making. It must be good. 119th and Pacific.
Deeb Real Estate. 15 years experience in real estate. A 97% customer referral rate, the best in Omaha.
No one can compete with me, Van Deeb, on getting you a great price for your house.
Van Deeb's customers are so happy with what he does for them.
Van Deeb sold us this big house.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home, call me, Van Deeb.
Deeb Real Estate, 390-6666.
Become a better bowler with the Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp, July 27th through August 1st at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln. Call for more information, 1-800-535-0678. That's Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln.
Hi, my name's Tom Kelly Jr., and today what we're going to look at is the cover of the bowling balls as far as the actual wear and tear goes. And what you'll want to do with the reactive resin ball is bring it in about every 200 to 300 games and have it resurfaced. As you can see how the ball track wears on it, it really dictates how much that ball grabs the lane and actually hooks or doesn't hook as much. And with a regular urethane shell, you get a few more games on those, usually around 400 games, and it's a good idea to have them resurfaced. With the resurfacing process, what it does, it takes all of the ball track off and brings the ball back up to its original luster, which allows it to skid, hook, and react into the pocket a lot stronger, a lot better like it was when it was new. The other thing to look at too, if you're using finger grips, is how those grips start to feel after you've used them for a season or so. Because if you notice, the front part of the grips do wear down and you start to lose the lift and the turn on the ball. What we're going to do now is put it in the machine, and basically this process takes about 25 to 30 minutes, and what it entitles is a couple different grits to bring it up to the proper polish or shine to allow the ball to react like it did when it was new. This one cleaned up real good. As far as the track went, it was pretty bad, and the machine did a great job on it. If you take a look at your ball, and if it looks like it needs to be resurfaced or cleaned up, bring it in, and we'll get her done in about a half hour or so. And with the finger grips, he'll be getting a lot better lift and turn, a lot better feel on the ball. So He'll be striking away.
The pressure is on today for Joe's bowling tour.
That's right. Joe is really off his game today and needs a strike here just to break 100.
It's a bad throw, and it cost him.
I think it's clear Joe is just using the wrong ball for his game.
He needs to get down to Tom Kelly's Bowling Pro Shop in Westgate Plaza.
Tom has been fitting and drilling balls for 37 years. He knows what he's doing and how to get the right ball for you.
Joe can even update his other bowling equipment since Tom Kelly does have the largest inventory of balls, bags, and shoes in Nebraska.
Looks like Joe did the right thing.
Perfect 300.
Hi, this is Frank Atkinson. Hockey time is indeed here in Omaha, and O2 TV is your ticket to USHL excitement. This season, O2 TV will bring you Lancer games live from the Coliseum and on the road. We'll have the hits, the goals, the saves, everything but the popcorn. Omaha Lancer hockey right here on O2 TV.
The Green Bay Gamblers versus the Omaha Lancers, Friday at 7 on O2 TV.
Amateur Bowlers Tour. It's a weekly traveling tournament with two divisions. Classic is 189 and under. Masters is 190 to 220. Entry fee $38 for the Classic and $55 for the Masters. Membership for the ABT $25 a year. For more information, call 398-3078. Well, it'll be Miller time starting this second game with a 23-pin lead. John Lucido and Big Rick Miller will lead it off.
Both teams have now switched lanes. It'll be interesting to see if there's any difference between the two lanes. And I would say that there must be, for Rick to miss the head pin to the left, this lane must be playing a little bit tighter, or in other words, there's a little more oil on the lane surface, caused the ball not to hook as much, and that's why he missed the head pin to the left.
So Miller leaves the 139. 27-year-old bowler out of Lincoln, and he is able to pick it up. That's a clutch shot by Rick Miller. Miller, the captain of this team, and again, he was on TV just a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, he was. He had some experience bowling on TV in the past, making the spare not quite how he planned on the left side. However, the spare nonetheless, so they'll take it and move on.
And it's back to Bowlers Emporium. Mark Birkenbein, 29-year-old bowler, comes up with the strike. Good start for Bowlers Emporium.
Very solid shot by Mark, playing over towards the second to third arrow. Ball going down the lane, 10 in the pit. Getting off to a good start for their team, and that's what they need to do since they are down 23 pins going into this second match.
Randy Wilson will bowl the second and seventh frames for Miller time. Shot is at the pocket, and he comes right back. He feeds off the strike, and there's a lot of that in this team challenge, feeding off one another and the enthusiasm that's out there. And certainly it seems like when there's one strike, the next team or the next bowler, whatever the case may be, will feed right off of that and come up with a strike.
The bowlers do play with the momentum of what's going on. If one team can take advantage of a break, then the other team tries to hop on their wave as well.
Barnett is able to strike here in this second frame. Barnett, 24-year-old bowler out of Kansas City. He's had 11 300 games.
That's very good. Obviously, this bowler can put the strikes in when he needs it. As the Bowlers Emporium team start with a double, and that's exactly what they needed to do.
And Jim Dill Jr. And Jim Dill Jr. able to respond. He's kind of the, maybe he wouldn't like me saying this, but he's kind of the elder statesman along with McGear on that team.
Yes, the older players, McGear and Dill on the teams, and I really shouldn't say older, in their 30s.
We learned last night it was those two that kept this team in order. They said, early to bed, boys.
That's right. Sometimes they need that to keep the young kids in line.
Eric Van Hoosier for Bowlers Emporium. And almost got a little help there.
He got that ball a little bit wide, actually a lot wide. The ball hitting the 3-6 square. Watch the ball get out towards the first arrow, board 5, and it gets into the oil where no one's played and doesn't make it back. The 7-pin comes back, hitting the 4 and the 2, almost hitting the 1. It would have been a very strange strike. Very simple spare, I must say, though, but he missed it on the first shot, so let's see what happens here in the second.
So Van Hoosier with what would be an easy spare, and he does pick it up. So Van Hoosier, 24-year-old programmer is his occupation, out of Kansas City. And back over to Miller time of the fourth frame. It'll be Matt Bogues. And Bogues, the left, right at it with the big shot. Bogues kind of he almost rests that ball there just without really much guide from his free hand.
Matt, being one of the two left-handers on the Miller time team, took what happened with Rick's shot. Rick, remember, missed the headpin to the left. Matt made an adjustment, playing a little bit straighter, making the move on the lane. Ball went perfect strike.
And Bowlers Emporium is going to come back here. And Pat McLaughlin, the lone bowler out of Omaha, bowling for this primarily Kansas City team, is able to pick up a strike here in the fourth frame.
Pat's ball light in the pocket gets what we call a wally. The 4, the 5, and the 7 mix around, causing them to fall down.
And Kevin McGear. Right at it. McGear having no problem on lane 5. And McGear responds, John, comes right back.
This is where the Baker format really comes into play. As we see, the Miller time team started with a spare and now has 4 strikes in a row. That's where each player really has to perform. If one of those 4 players didn't get a strike, we'd have a very close match. In the case of the Bowlers Emporium team, 3 out of 4 strikes.
For Bowlers Emporium, Larry Stepp, the former national champion, tries to keep Bowlers Emporium in it. We'll have the final frames when we come back here between Miller Time and Bowlers Emporium in the Lancer Team Challenge after this commercial break.
The High Rollers Tournament, July 1st through July 9th in Las Vegas, the richest amateur megabuck tournament. For more information, call 1-800-257-6197.
Introducing Rage from Columbia 300. Let it out.
It's equal parts sweat and steel. It's decisions made in the split of a second. And pain endured for the length of a day. And at the finish, you're either toasting victory or getting set to do it all over again next week. It's auto racing, the way we do it, on the Miller team.
Tonight's Lancer Team Challenge is sponsored in part by Wolf Brothers, your Western wear consultants. Also by Firestone out of Papillion, Nebraska, from the fine folks at Firestone. Also by Busy Bees Monogramming. From bowling shirts to hockey jerseys, we can do it all. Busy Bees Monogramming. And finally, Miller Beer, today's title sponsor of the championship frame. With John Lucido, I'm Greg Shea from Wildcat Lanes in Papillion. We're in the second game of the semifinal match between Miller Time and Bowlers Emporium, and the leadoff man, John Lucido, comes through.
Yes, great job by Rick Miller. He made the adjustment off his first shot on lane number 5 where he missed the headpin. Now, Miller Time has 5 strikes in a row. They're working at 290, giving them an 11-pin lead so far in this match and 34 pins overall.
It's going to be tough for Bowlers Emporium.
They need to match their strikes for strikes.
Line comes right back, though, the 29-year-old bowler out of Kansas City.
I'm not sure if Mark has bowled on TV before, but he is acting just like a true professional. 2 very solid shots his last 2 deliveries.
Some of the top individual series coming into today were by this Bowlers Emporium team. Randy Wilson for Miller Time, and he will leave a couple.
What a bad break for Randy. The ball coming in high in the pocket leaves the 4-9. Watch the bowling ball as it goes through the 1 and the 3. It will continue to the left, causing the 5 to go straight back, and the 2-pin knocking just around the 4, leaving the 4-9 split. Somewhat difficult, probably a 4-1, I would say, for him to make this. He needs to slide, get the ball to the left side of the 4-pin and slide that 4 right into the 9.
And we'll see if Wilson can pick up the spare. And a Gallant effort, though, by Wilson to go after it.
He had the right idea. He needed to get the ball just a little farther to the left, causing the 4 to slide over to the 9. By hitting it too much towards the center, the 4 goes straight towards the back, just missing the 9. The match has now taken a turn, I would say.
And Jeff Barnett tries to help his team out. He does. John, that is a big shot. He had an opening by virtue of what Randy Wilson did in leaving a pin standing, and Barnett's able to come back and react and get the strike.
Very, very big time for Bowlers Emporium. He needed to get that strike. Now, actually, if both teams were to strike out right now, we would have Miller Time losing by 23, and they have a 23-pin advantage going into this. We would have a tie.
And Jim Dill Jr. will have the 10 to shoot out here.
Jim getting just a little bit slow on his speed, causing the ball to hook a little bit higher, going through the nose, almost leaving a 4-10 split. Would have been a bad break. Knocking the 4 out, he leaves just a simple 10-pin. Shouldn't be a problem. Very strong player. He should make this spare.
And so Jim will easily pick up that spare, the 10-pin. And we'll see it on the replay, John. Easy pickings for Jim Dill Jr.
Yes, for the tip for those at home, you want to use as much of the lane as possible when shooting for the 10-pin. That's why the higher skill players will use the 4th arrow, using all the oil in the middle of the lane to get the ball over to the 10-pin side.
And with things tightening up, Eric Van Hooser. And he almost. He will get the solid 10 there, but as you could tell the little dance afterwards, he thought he had it.
That was one of the strangest things I've ever seen, Greg. He leaves such a solid 10-pin. The ball hits the 6-pin so hard it flies into the back of the lane and comes back onto the lane. Watch the 6-pin. It goes around, hits the back on the lane, just misses that 10-pin. What would have been a phenomenal break if he had got it and it fallen over, but just missed.
As I say, Van Hooser got his hand into it. And like Jim Dill Jr., he'll have the 10. He picks it up. So we're through 8 frames in the second game. We'll have the final couple of frames when we come back to the Lancer Team Challenge semifinals after this. Maplewood Lanes, the proud sponsor of the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour, coming up May 18th, the Omaha Classic. Call for more information, 572-9393. That's the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour at Maplewood Lanes.
Our girls started playing piano when they were about 5 years old.
We love the sound of music around the house.
We have our homeowners insurance with American Family because our home means so much to us.
We put our trust in American Family.
All your protection under one roof. An equal housing insurer.
American Family Insurance.
Call Phil at 697-9980 for your personal review or quotation.
When it's your choice, make it Bowler's Choice. Bowler's Choice Pro Shop, that is. Omaha's newest full-service pro shop. Owned and operated by PBA professional Rich Abood and Doug Laird, Bowler's Choice offers one of the state's largest selections of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories, plus friendly professional while-you-wait services, including drilling and fitting. Don't make a shopping split when you can strike it right at Bowler's Choice, 102nd and Maple, next to Valentino's in Maple Village. Bowler's Choice, the perfect choice in pro shop.
Become a better bowler with the Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp, July 27th through August 1st at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln. Call for more information, 1-800-535-0678. That's Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln. Things have tightened up here. John Lucido and the Lancer Team Challenge. All of a sudden, Bowlers Emporium, who we thought there for a moment was out of this thing, has come charging back here in this second game.
This is the same type of excitement we've seen for the last 2 days here, Greg. The matches have turned around. Bowlers Emporium leading by 11, but down 23 overall, so they're really down by 12. Matt Bogues making a good shot on lane number 5, doesn't quite get the break, leaving a 7-pin.
So the solid 7, we'll see the replay, John.
Watch the ball hit the 1-2 pocket. The 4 falling into the gutter just misses the 7. Could have been a strike very easily. Unfortunately, no for Matt and the Miller Time team.
Matt was a state U.S. champion. And he will use the whole length of John to clean up that 7-pin. And it goes back to Pat McLaughlin for Bowlers Emporium. He kind of got this team going a moment ago with a strike there earlier, and he hopes to do that here in the 9th frame.
Critical shot for Pat here in lane number 6. He'd like to get the strike to put their team in position to strike.
And McLaughlin does so. Let's see the replay on that one. Beautiful shot here and a little extra dancing coming from McLaughlin on the strike.
Same type of hit with the Messenger. However, the 3-pin coming across the back of the lane knocks the 10 out before the Messenger can get to it. We have a very close match here, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin McGeer needs to get the strikes to put the pressure on Bowlers Emporium.
And not what Miller Time was hoping for, so McGeer will have his work cut out for him.
Kevin not quite getting the rotation that he wanted, causing the ball not to hook, coming in light, leaving the 2-5 a difficult spare. Has to guard against the chop where the bowling ball takes off just the 2-pin, leaving the 5. He needs to get this spare to put some pressure on Bowlers Emporium, and the match is totally turned.
And he chops, and you can see from the reaction from Kevin McGeer that he's not going to be happy with this, John, on the replay.
No, the bowling pins are spaced 1 foot apart, the bowling ball being approximately 4.5 inches wide from its radius. Not much of probably a 1 to 2 inch area where you can chop that spare, and that's what Kevin did.
So back to Larry Stepp for Bowlers Emporium, and you can tell by the reaction. And Bowlers Emporium fighting right back into this thing.
That was the strike that Larry Stepp needed to make their team advance to the finals. By striking there, that's going to give Bowlers Emporium 240, assuming that Larry gets approximately 8 or 9 pins on this shot. He needs to get 8 to lock out Miller Time's team. If a bad break were to occur, like a 5-count split, then we'd have a difference in the match. He just needs to get 8 or 9. That's it.
He cleans it up with a strike. That is another big shot by Larry Stepp.
Larry Stepp coming through in the 10th frame, getting the 2 strikes he needed in the 10th frame, and that is going to be the difference, and that is going to carry the Bowlers Emporium team to the finals.
And Stepp is awfully loose out there. We're going to see the shot here again, pretty much the shot that won this, and you can see Stepp, he gets a lot of lift on his ball.
He is a hook ball bowler, using most of the lane to cover the bowling ball.
And to clean it up, Larry Stepp for Bowlers Emporium. They will advance on to the final against Lancer Kellys here in the first Lancer Team Challenge from Wildcat Lanes. Amateur Bowlers Tour. It's a weekly traveling tournament with 2 divisions. Classic is 189 and under. Masters is 190 to 220. Entry fee $38 for the Classic and $55 for the Masters. Membership for the ABT $25 a year. For more information, call 398-3078.
You knew Nissan trucks were tough and rugged, but wait. What would you say if they also came with air conditioning, an AM/FM cassette stereo, and alloy wheels for no extra charge? We couldn't have put it better ourselves.
At Roy's Bellevue Nissan, Fort Crook Road in Bellevue.
Hi, this is Frank Atkinson. Hockey time is indeed here in Omaha, and O2 TV is your ticket to USHL excitement. This season, O2 TV will bring you Lancer games live from the Coliseum and on the road. We'll have the hits, the goals, the saves, everything but the popcorn. Omaha Lancer hockey right here on O2 TV.
The Green Bay Gamblers versus the Omaha Lancers, Friday at 7 on O2 TV.
The High Rollers Tournament, July 1st through July 9th in Las Vegas, the richest amateur megabuck tournament. For more information, call 1-800-257-6197.
It's been a busy couple of days here at Wildcat Lanes. Of course, the qualifying round on Saturday and then today. 8 teams advanced. John Lasciuto, we take a quick look at the teams that placed here. 8th place, Polinsky Insurance wins $500. In 7th place, Kelly Lancers. So the Lancers and Kelly, they had a couple of teams in this deal.
2 teams making it to the finals this week.
Nonetheless, Kelly Lancers wins $550. And then in the 6th place, Stella Hunt Investments, $600 by that squad. Obviously, all 8 of these teams today, a lot of talent out here. Nonetheless, in only a few pins separating some of these teams. In 5th place, it's Centennial. They win $700. And it may be a little bit of a surprise. In 4th place, Bowler's Choice, a team that was in quite a battle with the team Miller Time. And you watched that match prior to going on TV. This team here, Bowler's Choice, with Rich Abood on that squad, they almost made the TV portion.
Very strong team in the Bowler's Choice, falling just short in the position round match prior to the finals.
And finally, the 3rd place team, Miller Time, Rick Miller and Kevin McGear and that squad, $1,000 going to them. Not a bad weekend for Miller Time, though.
No, they played very well.
Well, that's your roundup of the 8 through 3, and we'll be back for the finals. It'll be Lancer Kellys against Bowler Emporium when we continue at Wildcat Lanes here at the Lancer Team Challenge. Tonight's Lancer Team Challenge is sponsored in part by Wolf Brothers, your Western wear consultants. Also by Firestone out of Papillion, Nebraska, from the fine folks at Firestone. Also by Busy Bees Monogramming. From bowling shirts to hockey jerseys, we can do it all. Busy Bees Monogramming. And finally, Miller Beer, today's title sponsor of the championship frame.
Watch the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament quarterfinals all day Saturday starting at noon. Feel the madness on O2 TV.
The George Michael Sports Machine. Yeah! The greatest hits. Run. Errors. Action you can't afford to miss. Up-to-the-minute scores and more. After a full plate of Sunday sports, get your just desserts. The George Michael Sports Machine.
Sunday night at 9:30 and 11:30 on O2 TV.
Well, moments ago here at the Lancer Team Challenge, it was Bowler's Emporium that came charging back in that second game, John Lucido, to make it here into the finals against Lancer Kellys.
Great bowling by Bowler's Emporium. We both thought that they were out of the match. To have the Miller Time team have a 30-pin lead going into the second match, and they managed to pull out a 258 game in Baker format. That's very difficult to do, but they all pulled together and they got the strikes when they needed them, and they managed to make it back and into the finals.
All right, 2 games to decide who's going to win the first ever Lancer Team Challenge, and we're set to go as we set the scene here at Wildcat Lanes. And finally, it'll be John Pearson and John Lucido who's going to lead it off for Lancer Kellys.
John Pearson, the third southpaw that we've seen here today, starting on lane number 5 of the Lancer Kelly team.
And Pearson out of Cougar Lanes gets things started, and you can feel the enthusiasm in this place already for this, the finals here on TV.
Good start by John. Mark Birkenbein would like to answer the call, however.
And we saw Birkenbein in the semifinals, a 29-year bowler, 29-year-old in North Kansas City. And he'll leave. A spare to pick up here, and we'll see on the replay.
Mark Birkenbein, his first shot getting a little bit farther inside a target over the 4th arrow, hit some more oil in the middle of the lane, so the ball did not hook, coming in light in the pocket, leaving just the 2-pin.
So Birkenbein will attempt to pick up the spare, and he does so. Easy for Mark Birkenbein.
Simple conversion for Mark.
Simple for these guys,
yes.
Not simple for me. So what you guys think is simple, I thought, especially with the lights and the cameras on. And Scott Reigel will meet Lancer Kelly's team as we move along, and Scott Reigel makes his introduction here. Second consecutive strike by the Lancer Kelly's team.
Scott Reigel taking taking advantage of John's first shot, starting with an early double for the Lancer Kelly's team. Starting to get some crowd support behind him, and the action is getting exciting.
That's a team yesterday. They were basically sixth after the first 3 games, and then they roared back to third, and today they come in here as the leading team. Now back to Buller's Emporium and Jeff Barnett. And it'll be Shannon Buchanan, 23-year-old bowler out of Cadillac Lanes. He was a 2-time Bowlers Journal champion, and a year ago, second in the high roller, prestigious high roller. Boy, and I tell you what, John, this guy yesterday, in watching him, he really is a fine bowler, a great talent out there, but he kind of gets his team charged up.
With shots like that, I can see how he finished second at the high roller. High roller, ladies and gentlemen, he won $100,000 for finishing second in that tournament, and fine performance so far by that young man. It'll be exciting to watch to see what happens here later in the match.
It's close to what they're paying us today, isn't it, to help him out on this? Back to Eric Van Hoosier. And Van Hoosier with the dance. He likes it.
Eric trying to get some excitement, starting with his team run the shot out a little bit. Good solid shot, 10 in the pit.
Tell you what, John Van Hoosier, looking at his list of accomplishments, 16 300s, 12 800s, 8-time sweeper champion. Now back to Lancer Kelly's, and it's Tom Kelly Jr. And he leaves the 7, Junior. As you could look at his kind of little frustration on his face there.
Rather surprising shot by Tom, a well-known Omaha native here. He kind of really didn't get down with the shot, causing the ball to hook early. It goes right through the nose, breaks up the split, leaving just a 7-pin. He can probably shoot this in his sleep.
And Junior, the left-hander, one of a couple on this team for Lancer Kelly's. He picks up the spare. And we'll see it on the replay, John. Like you said, something that he's probably been able to do since he was 4 years old.
I'm sure you wish you had $1 for every one of those he's left.
And Pat McLaughlin, who really, for this Bowler Emporium team, John, has kind of been he's not the anchor man, but he certainly has played like one.
He's the workhorse. He's building the foundation in the 4th and the 9th frame with all solid shots. Strikes that I can think of. I'm not sure he hasn't not struck.
And the anchor for Lancer Kelly is none other than Ted Baer. And Ted Baer gets the messenger to come over and knock down the 10. And that is a big strike here in this first game for Ted Baer.
Very powerful shot by Ted. Watch the head pin go right to the sidewall and flies across the lane, knocking out the 10 pin. That's how you do it.
And a guy who responded in semifinals, Larry Stepp. Larry with the big loft. And he likes what he sees here in this 5 frames. And that's going to be our first 5 frames here at the finals of the Lancer Team Challenge. We'll be back for more in this, the finals, when we continue from Wildcat Lanes. Become a better bowler with the Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp, July 27th through August 1st at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln. Call for more information, 1-800-535-0678. That's Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln.
We can't say enough about our American Family agent.
I've been shopping for bikes with Brian for 2 or 3 months.
Our camcorder was stolen just before our son's birthday.
Our American Family agent made sure our claim was processed right away.
Super agents. That's what American Family has.
All your protection under one roof.
American Family Insurance.
Call Phil at 697-9980 for your personal review or quotation.
When it's your choice, make it Bowler's Choice. Bowler's Choice Pro Shop, that is. Omaha's newest full-service pro shop. Owned and operated by PBA professional Rich Abood and Doug Laird, Bowler's Choice offers one of the state's largest selections of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories, plus friendly professional while-you-wait services, including drilling and fitting. Don't make a shopping split when you can strike it right at Bowler's Choice, 102nd and Maple, next to Valentino's in Maple Village. Bowler's Choice, the perfect choice in pro shop.
Amateur Bowlers Tour. It's a weekly traveling tournament with two divisions. Classic is 189 and under. Masters is 190 to 220. Entry fee $38 for the Classic and $55 for the Masters. Membership for the ABT $25 a year. For more information, call 398-3078. We're through 5 lanes in the Lancer Team Challenge game number 1 with Bowlers Emporium an 11-pin lead. And back to the leadoff man for Lancer Kellys and John Pearson. And Pearson, John Lucido is going to leave the 10. Or actually, I'm sorry, he leaves the 7.
Commercial break, the bowlers had to slow down for a little bit. John a little bit slow on his shot. The ball is slow. It tends to hook a little bit more. It goes right through the nose. Again, a good break, breaking up the split, leaving just the 7-pin. Should be a simple spare.
And his spin shot is good for John Pearson, so he picks up the spare. And we'll see it, an easy shot for the lefty. A couple lefties on this Lancer Kellys team.
Nice conversion.
And back to Mark Birkenbein, the leadoff bowler for Bowlers Emporium. And kind of an ooh in the crowd here.
Really just an unlucky break for Mark. The ball is a little bit high in the pocket. Not too bad, though. Watch the 2-pin go to the sidewall. Does it knock the 4 over? No, just missing it. With that 4-pin, that brings the match to within 11 pins again. Actually, 10 pins now with a 4-pin on the 4-bagger. We'll cover this spare, and we'll have a 10-pin lead for Bowlers Emporium.
And Birkenbein will attack that 4-pin. He picks up the spare here in the 6th frame.
Good tip for those of you at home. Watch all the bowlers shooting at their spares are tending to use a very straight type ball, and that prevents the ball from getting in trouble.
Scott Rigel, who bowls out of Cougar Lanes in Omaha, the right-hander. And Rigel, who's had a great weekend for Lancer Kellys. He is really, I guess I heard yesterday in the early game he bowled like a 156, but ever since then, he has just been on a roll for this squad. And it's Jeff Barnett up for Bowlers Emporium.
Jeff's been very solid thus far. See if he can get Bowlers Emporium back on track. He does.
And Barnett strikes here in the 7th frame.
Still have a 10-pin match here, Greg. Very close.
Guy who's been Mr. Excitement himself, Shannon Buchanan, 23-year-old bowler. Buchanan doesn't like this.
This is where the excitement can come back and haunt you. Getting a little bit excited on this shot. Shannon has the ball a little bit too fast. The ball doesn't get a chance to hook. It comes in light in the pocket, and this is the dinner bucket. Again, that same type of 2-5 combination that we saw Kevin McGear to have trouble for Miller time earlier. He needs to cover all 4 pins with the ball.
So Buchanan runs after the 2-5 or the 2-4, 5, and 8, and he knocks him down. That'll bring us to Eric Van Hoosier, the 24-year-old bowler out of North Kansas City. 24, and he's already accomplished an awful lot in his bowling career coming into today.
Eric would like to take advantage of the strike that Bowlers Emporium is working on. If he can strike here, he will increase the Bowlers Emporium lead to 20 pins.
And walks away, and you see the reaction by Van Hoosier. So it is Bowlers Emporium leading here as we'll come back for the 10th frame of this game number 1 of the Lancer Team Challenge. More from Wildcat Lanes in a moment.
The High Rollers Tournament, July 1st through July 9th in Las Vegas, the richest amateur megabuck tournament. For more information, call 1-800-257-6197.
decisions made in the split of a second. And pain endured for the length of a day. And at the finish, you're either toasting victory or getting set to do it all over again next week. It's auto racing, the way we do it, on the Miller team.
Tonight's Lancer Team Challenge is sponsored in part by Wolf Brothers, your Western wear consultants. Also by Firestone out of Papillion, Nebraska, from the fine folks at Firestone. Also by Busy Bees Monogramming. From bowling shirts to hockey jerseys, we can do it all. Busy Bees Monogramming. And finally, Miller Beer, today's title sponsor of the championship frame. Back at Wildcat Lanes, where it's a 20-pin lead for Bowlers Emporium. And John, this Bowlers Emporium team, they kind of, in that second game in the semifinals, have been on a roll ever since.
Tom would like to get the Lancer Kelly's team back online with a strike here on lane number 5.
And in the ninth frame, Tom Kelly Jr. We'll see on the replay, he's going to end up leaving it, I believe, the 2-8, the 2-7-8, it looks like.
I'm a little bit surprised by the way that lane 5 is reacting. His first shot hooked high, and now this shot hooked high as well. A difficult spare. He needs to get the ball the left side of the 2-pin and have enough drive to get out the 8. Oh.
And he'll leave the 2. And we noticed that earlier, that this lane, the number 5 lane here, I think a little bit with Miller time, they were having some problems.
Lane 5 is definitely playing as the tougher of the 2 lanes. And that's a good point, Greg. We saw earlier that the Bowlers Emporium team was down in the first match and they came back to win, so nothing is out yet.
Put it on the 6th lane, and right again, it's Pat McLaughlin, this guy who lists his occupation, John, as a blackjack dealer. Has come here and he's dealt himself a pretty good hand.
Definitely has the hot hand.
The hot hand. And Ted Bear, the anchor for Lancer Kelly's, here in this 10th frame, is able to strike. So Ted Bear, back-to-back strikes for his squad.
Ted would like to get another strike here in the 10th. If he can do that, he will put the Lancer Kelly team in approximately a 2-teen type of score. You don't want to get too much of a lead from Bowlers Emporium. It's very difficult, as we've seen, to make up pins. However, it can be done. So Ted would like to strike here.
So the Omaha Bowling Hall of Famer, Frank here in his second shot. He doesn't like it.
Ted's ball didn't quite react or finish the way that he would like it to. It seemed like a good shot. Must have been just a little fast. Ball doesn't get a chance to break. He comes in light, leaving the 2-4-5 with the spare. The Lancer Kelly's team will end up with a 2-0-5, and they'll be down about 40 to 60 pins going into the finals here. We'll have to see what happens. Larry Stepp in lane 6.
Ted will pick up the spare, but you can tell just by the facial expressions of Lancer Kelly's, they're going to have their work cut out for them, but hopefully, and then maybe in their case, they'll move over to that lane 6 and have the kind of success that Bowlers Emporium has had.
That's going to be the key, Greg. Lane 5 is definitely tougher than lane number 6. Bowlers Emporium average approximately 250 on the lane.
Larry Stepp hits the pocket, and he is literally on a roll here ever since that second game.
Yes, he is. Great shot by Larry. Hook type player using most of the lane and the oil. Get the ball to the pocket. That gives the Bowlers Emporium team a 4-bagger, 4 strikes in a row, with another strike here that will put them in the 260s. And that is an excellent Baker-type score.
Larry's had 22 300s in his career, 12 times over 800 in series. And former collegiate bowler, his second consecutive strike in this frame.
Very powerful shot by Larry. The ball coming into the pocket, ripping the pins apart. Slice and dice, as we would say.
It's a good way to put it. Slice and dice from Larry Stepp. So one more here in the 10th for Bowlers Emporium as they build a nice lead here going into that second game. As Stepp will wind things up here in the first game of the finals.
And another strike for Bowlers Emporium, Larry Stepp, that would put them at 269. Let's see if they finish with. Very close, 268.
A lot of wrist action and a little extra fanfare from Larry Stepp as Bowlers Emporium will have the lead as you see the replay as we'll move into the second game. Here are the finals of the Lancer Team Challenge. And we'll have more from Wildcat Lanes when we continue. Maplewood Lanes, the proud sponsor of the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour, coming up May 18th, the Omaha Classic. Call for more information, 572-9393. That's the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour at Maplewood Lanes.
Hi, this is Frank Atkinson. Hockey time is indeed here in Omaha, and O2 TV is your ticket to USHL excitement. This season, O2 TV will bring you Lancer games live from the Coliseum and on the road. We'll have the hits, the goals, the saves, everything but the popcorn. Omaha Lancer hockey right here on O2 TV.
The Green Bay Gamblers versus the Omaha Lancers, Friday at 7 on O2 TV.
Hi, I'm Tom Kelly Sr. I'm here with my son, Tom Kelly Jr. We're going to give you a little insight into what's happened in bowling in the last 40 years as far as equipment. For years, we used a three-piece design, pancake weight block and a solid core with an outer shell of plastic or rubber or urethane. Then, as the years went by, they added
a two-piece design, which allows the ball to have a stronger roll down the lane and a stronger hit on the pins. What you get is a smaller shaped weight block, but it's dynamically stronger than what the pancake shaped block is. And then you get 2 inches of urethane over it versus a ½ inch of urethane on the three-piece design. And now they've advanced it one step farther with ceramic. And what that allows, it's a heavier, dense piece that's put inside of the block itself, and it allows the ball, depending on the position of the ceramic, it allows the ball to have a stronger roll yet and even more impact.
A lot more action on the pins. In some cases, they're using a foot block above the ceramic and a stabilizing block at the bottom, and this gives the ball even more action. Whatever your needs are as a bowler, whether you're a recreation bowler, professional bowler, you bowl for money or bowl for fun, Tom Kelly's Pro Shop has a wide variety of bowling balls to fit your needs. Come and see us.
The pressure is on today for Joe's bowling tour.
That's right. Joe is really off his game today and needs a strike here just to break 100.
It's a bad throw, and it cost him.
I think it's clear Joe is just using the wrong ball for his game.
He needs to get down to Tom Kelly's Bowling Pro Shop in Westgate Plaza.
Tom has been fitting and drilling balls for 37 years. He knows what he's doing and how to get the right ball for you.
Joe can even update his other bowling equipment since Tom Kelly does have the largest inventory of balls, bags, and shoes in Nebraska.
Looks like Joe did the right thing.
Perfect 300.
Become a better bowler with the Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp, July 27th through August 1st at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln. Call for more information, 1-800-535-0678. That's Dick Ritkers Bowling Camp at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln. Well, we had one 300 game here at the Lancer Team Challenge. That coming yesterday, John Lucido. Tony Manning Jr. comes up with a 300. Some great individual accomplishments here. You see Steve Stanley with a 289, Mike Bell the 279, and Mike Quackenbush the 279 action. And also in the top individual series here over the weekend, it was Eric Van Hoosier, 779, followed by Jeff Barnett at 758, and Mark Birkenbein, 750. That tells you a lot about this Bowlers Emporium team with some of the individual high series. As for the top team game, it was Bowlers Emporium again with the 1226, followed by Delahunt Investments at 1204, and Bowler's Choice, who wound up fourth here in the tournament at 1203. And finally, the team series, no surprise here, Bowlers Emporium 3550, and again at 3515, two of the top three, and Kelly Lancers at 3407. We're set for the second and final game. Here are the finals of the Lancer Team Challenge between Bowlers Emporium and the team that came in here in first place. And right now, trailing by 63 pins, John Lucido is Lancer Kelly's.
Bowlers Emporium team is bowling excellent. The last two games in the Baker format, they were averaging 263. We don't have the Baker individual game scores. However, that's got to be two of the highest scores that have been bowled today. They are on a roll. Can they keep it up going into the finals?
And we wanted to watch this. Lane 5 has caused teams some problems. It caused Bowlers Emporium some problems in their first game in the semifinals against Millerton.
We did allude to that earlier, Greg. The ball going a little bit high, leaving the 3, 4, 6, 7, 10 a difficult spare. He needs to get the ball to the right side of the 3-pin and hope to have the 3 slide into the 4 and the 4 take out the 7. He needs to get it over, and that's got a chance.
And he did it. John Lucido draws it up, and Mark Birkenbein comes out and does exactly what you've asked him to do. He did it. The 29-year-old bowler out of North Kansas City. What a great shot there.
Wow. Great timing for Mark. Excellent spare.
John Pearson would strike his first time in the first game. Then he made a 7 spare, and here he leads off in this second and final game. And he'll leave a couple of standing here. I believe the 6-10.
John shot going high into the pocket, leaving the 6-10. Not a difficult spare. He'll get the ball over to the right side, cover them both with the ball. Not quite the reaction I think that he expected, however. Lane 5 we know was hooking for the left-handers. Lane 6 seems to be hooking, but not quite as much.
Averages 220 in his league bowling at Cougar Lanes, and Pearson picks up the spare. So both bowlers lead off here in the first frame with spares. It'll be back to Jeff Barnett, as again you see the ball thrown by John Pearson. And Barnett, as you mentioned earlier, John, he has been very, very consistent here for this Bowlers Emporium squad.
Jeff would like to take advantage of Mark's great shot and keep the momentum rolling for his team.
And Barnett, he'll have one to pick up.
Good break, actually, for Jeff. The ball high in the pocket could have been a split. However, the headpin flies across the lane, taking out the 10, leaving just the 6-pin to avoid the chop. With this spare, we'll have a 1-pin match at least going into the second frame.
All things considered, it could have been worse.
Yes.
And with the 6, and it's easy for Jeff Barnett for Bowlers Emporium. And a guy who's really been on a roll since yesterday, Scott Reigel. Another bowler out of Cougar Lanes, averages 220. Interesting enough, Reigel, who lost half his foot back in 1986, came back in 91, and he's bowled 9 300s since that time.
Very solid player.
And he has the ringing 10, and you said a solid player, and he is that. And Reigel, who has, in the replay here, he throws a good ball.
Reigel, a down and in type player, pretty straight. That keeps him out of trouble. The ball's always very close to the pocket. In that case, the 6-pin just falling into the flat gutter, not knocking out the 10. Simple spare will have a time match with the conversion.
The director in the truck saying right, and as John says, oh, it's always easy for you guys to pick up the spares. Well, it is easy for these guys, or at least you would think so, but with the cameras on you and the crowd around you, sometimes I'm sure the old heart's pumping a little bit as you're standing out at the approach.
Scott almost trying to prove me wrong on that spare. Luckily for the paint on the pin, I think he knocked that 10-pin over.
Eric Van Hooser, another bowler out of North Kansas City's Pro Bowl. Young bowler. And he'll have his work cut out here in this third frame.
Lane 5 is playing a trick here with the Bowlers Emporium team, not getting the strikes that we saw earlier. Ball coming in light, leaving the 2-4-5. Again, a difficult spare with that 2-5 combination. He needs to avoid the chop and have the ball cover all 3 pins.
And if I remember correctly, back to Miller time, we did see a chop by Rick, or actually McGear in that team for Miller time. It's almost the same pin arrangement, but not the case by Van Hooser here. Nice pickup.
Good spare by Eric, trying to avoid the chop. He gets the ball a little bit farther left than really what he should have. However, the 2 sliding into the 5, he does cover it.
And he will definitely take it. Shannon Buchanan in the third frame here in this second game for Lancer Kellys, and he will leave the solid 10.
What we're starting to see now is that the oil is starting to carry down the lane. It's moving down towards the pins, and when that happens, the ball doesn't quite have the drive as it does. It deflects slightly, the 3 hitting the 6 in such a way that the 6 just goes right into the channel, doesn't have a chance to knock over the 10-pin. The bowlers need to make a little adjustment either by slowing their speed up slightly or by moving a little bit on the lane. And we'll see if they does that here in the next frame.
No problem for Buchanan, the 23-year-old bowler out of Cadillac Lanes. Lists his occupation is student/bowler. And only at 23, John, he's got a long ways ahead of him. He's going to have some good days. Pat McLaughlin, who has really been striking left and right, but not the case here on this number 5 lane.
Lane 5, the oil is going down towards the pins. The bowlers are not making their adjustments yet. Being that it's their first shot really in over a game on this lane, it's difficult just to come onto the lane and strike. And that's what makes Baker-type tournaments very difficult and why the momentum can change so quickly.
And he will not be able to pick that up. He leaves 2 standing here in the 4th frame of the 2nd game.
That is the break that the Lancer Kelly's team needs to take advantage, and they need to take advantage of it now. Pat missing the bucket by just taking off the 2 and the 5. Tom Kelly would like to strike here on lane 6 to get the momentum to change.
Certainly a guy who can do it. And you can tell by his expression on his face that that ball went to, as you see it on the replay, John. I mean, it's quite a bender. It's way out, right on the edge of the channel there.
Tom Kelly, a late hook type ball bowler. The ball seems like it's going to be right on the channel as it goes into the pins, but then it hooks sharply and suddenly. Not quite the reaction right now. Whoa.
He will take it at this stage here in this 4th frame. And now we'll go to the anchor bowlers and the guys that who hope to give their teams some light here in this 5th frame. Larry Stepp. And Stepp, who has just had a great semifinals and now finals, and he has an interesting approach. He almost steps right at the channel, really. He's got a big hook there.
Yeah, the hook type players, they almost need to walk in the other direction in order to be able to play the lane.
And the pressure goes on Ted Bear, the anchor bowler for Lancer Kelly's, and Ted Bear responds, and his facial expression tells the story, John, and that will get us through 5 frames here in the 2nd game, and we'll have the final few frames when we come back. This, the first Lancer Team Challenge from Wildcat Lanes.
The High Rollers Tournament, July 1st through July 9th in Las Vegas, the richest amateur megabuck tournament. For more information, call 1-800-257-6197.
Ken Ostlund has kept his car and boat insurance with American Family for over 20 years.
My grandson and I really enjoy fishing together. If we could, we'd fish every day. Way back when I chose American Family, I wanted an insurance company I could depend on. They've never let me down.
All your protection under one roof.
American Family Insurance.
Call Phil at 697-9980 for your personal review or quotation.
When it's your choice, make it Bowler's Choice. Bowler's Choice Pro Shop, that is. Omaha's newest full-service pro shop. Owned and operated by PBA professional Rich Abood and Doug Laird, Bowler's Choice offers one of the state's largest selections of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories, plus friendly professional while-you-wait services, including drilling and fitting. Don't make a shopping split when you can strike it right at Bowler's Choice, 102nd in Maple, next to Valentino's in Maple Village. Bowler's Choice, the perfect choice in pro shop.
Tonight's Lancer Team Challenge is sponsored in part by Wolf Brothers, your Western wear consultants. Also by Firestone out of Papillion, Nebraska, from the fine folks at Firestone. Also by Busy Bees Monogramming. From bowling shirts to hockey jerseys, we can do it all. Busy Bees Monogramming. And finally, Miller Beer, today's title sponsor of the championship frame.
But they're up 48 altogether.
Back at Wildcat Lanes, a 48-pin lead for Bowlers Emporium. Back to the leadoff man, Mark Birkenbein. Birkenbein with a lot of wrist action. Birkenbein's kind of got an unorthodox, kind of almost hips it before he takes off, in his approach. Kind of a weird setup.
Mark's a cranker type player. Some of those actions are so that the bowler can get in the position to get those revolutions that you see on the bowling ball. This is going to be the keys in the match if the bowlers can make their adjustments now on the new lanes that they're bowling on here in the final game.
And Pearson's final ball here in the Lancer Team Challenge. Hoping for something big. He did. He's had a strike in his first attempt back in the first game, but he comes back here in the 6th frame with a strike.
Great shot by John, right down the first arrow on the left side. Ball breaks about the 45 feet mark and then starts right toward the pocket. Strike.
So strike, spare, strike for John Pearson. Jeff Barnett, he will leave the bucket.
Jeff making a move on lane number 5, but it didn't get the reaction that he wanted. Moving a little to the right, he thought that the ball would hook a little bit more. We see it go down the lane, but we've seen this lane do it through the entire show. It just doesn't quite finish like the other lane does, and the bowler leaves the 2-4-5-8 or the bucket.
And Barnett goes after it and gets the bucket for the 2, 4, 5, and 8. And a good shot, a clutch shot for Jeff Barnett on the replay. So it'll be back to Scott Reigel, and really, John, at this point, if Lancer Kellys is going to do something, they have got to start right now. Time is running out for this squad.
Correct, Greg. They need to get going now.
And a guy who can do it is Scott Reigel. And Reigel will have the 4-7 left.
Good shot by Scott. However, a little bit slow. The ball hooking into the high part of the pocket, leaving the 4 and the 7 two-pin just misses both of them.
And Reigel to pick up the spare. He does. He gets the 4-7. But time is running short for Lancer Kellys. As we get ready for this, the 8th frame here in this second game, it'll be Eric Van Hoosier.
Bowlers Emporium down by 17 pins. However, they're up 63 from the first match. That's giving them a 46 pin difference.
Van Hoosier will have a tough split here.
Tell by the crowd's reaction there, Greg, a bad break. The ball coming in high in the pocket. This is the same split that we saw Randy Wilson leave on this lane in the first match. Ball going high, taking the 5 off the 9, and the 2-pin missing the 4. Leaves the 4-9 split. Needs to get the ball to the far left side of the 4-pin and slide it over into the 9. An open here will still leave the Lancer Kellys team a chance to bring this back.
Van Hoosier with the tough spare shot, and he only gets the 4. So the door is left open just a little bit here in this 8th frame for Lancer Kellys. And the pressure now goes on Shannon Buchanan. And the 2-time Bowlers Journal champion goes right at it, and he gets the strike. A big ball by Shannon Buchanan. So the Lancer Kellys team all but out of it. Not quite yet. The door is still open for that squad. We'll be back for the 9th and 10 frames when we come back here to the finals of the Lancer Team Challenge. Amateur Bowlers Tour. It's a weekly traveling tournament with 2 divisions. Classic is 189 and under. Masters is 190 to 220. Entry fee $38 for the Classic and $55 for the Masters. Membership for the ABT $25 a year. For more information, call 398-3078.
You buy your children new shoes, they outgrow them. You buy them video games, they grow tired of them. Why not give your children something they'll never outgrow and will last their whole life? An appreciation for the arts with a family membership to the Joslyn Art Museum. From classic art to contemporary sculpture, there's something for everyone. Find out for yourself. Call the Joslyn Art Museum today to find out more about Joslyn family memberships and give the gift that'll last a lifetime.
The Hardwoods are heating up as Big Ten teams fast break in quest of the conference hoops title. Catch the action all season long on the Big Ten Network, where standouts like Michigan's Maurice Taylor, Iowa just settled. And Kiwan Garris of Illinois make their run at conference championship supremacy and solidify their position in the postseason's big games. Right here on the Big Ten Network.
Maplewood Lanes, the proud sponsor of the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour. Coming up May 18th, the Omaha Classic. Call for more information, 572-9393. That's the Ladies Pro Bowling Tour at Maplewood Lanes. It'll be Pat McLaughlin here in the 9th frame of the final game, the second game, but John, he leaves the 4-7, and certainly at this point, Lancer Kelly's a deep sigh. They will take any break that they can get this late stage of the game.
By Pat not striking here in the 9th frame, it still gives a glimmer of hope for the Lancer Kelly's team, assuming that he'll make the spare. Tom Kelly Jr., who has not struck yet, will need to get up and strike on lane number 6.
And the spare pickup by Pat McLaughlin. Accomplished bowler, as you see on the replay. The lone bowler on this primarily Kansas City squad, actually Patty's out of Omaha. It'll shift back over now to Tom Kelly Jr.
Tom Kelly needs to strike on this shot.
And Jr. gets it. Tom Kelly Jr., the 32-year-old bowler out of Omaha, who has World Team Challenge experience. And John, a great ball right here. As you said, he uses the entire lane to come up with a strike.
Larry Stepp coming on to lane number 5. He needs to strike here. If he can do that, it's basically going to shut out the Lancer Kelly's team. He has to strike.
And this could be for the win. And the messenger does not deliver for Larry Stepp. He will leave the 10.
Larry Stepp is going to need to cover this spare. As we watch the first shot, watch the head pin go to the sidewall. It's what we call the messenger. However, it comes back across the lane, knocking into the 4, and the 4 misses the 10. Larry Stepp needs to get this spare in order to be able to lock out the Lancer Kelly's team.
We watched him miss a spare earlier, and he missed another one. We watched him do it in the game against Miller time, and that, you can tell, is a big error here in this, the 10th frame.
Wow, what a bad timing for Larry to miss that spare. Ted Bear is going to need to at least get this strike in order to be able to continue on.
And Ted Bear responds with a big strike, a clutch shot by the Hall of Famer. And you'll see on the replay, John, that he hits the pocket. And with that strike, Lancer Kelly says, we're not done yet.
Well, it's going to come down to this, ladies and gentlemen. Ted Bear needs to strike on this second shot in the 10th frame in order for the Lancer Kelly's team to win. If he does not, they lose.
And here it is, the final ball, and he leaves one pin standing. The 8-pin will not go down, and that is an unfortunate situation for the Lancer team, but what a great shot. I mean, everybody was up in the bowling center here waiting for it, and the thing almost goes down. I mean to tell you, that thing was teetering and it wanted to go.
So close for the Lancer Kelly's team. If that pin had fallen, they would have won the match. Unfortunately, the 8-pin just wobbles and cuts them short. Bowlers Emporium is your winner.
And Ted Bear, gallant effort as he picks up the spare, but it's going to be Bowlers Emporium winning it here today in the first ever Lancer Team Challenge. They win it, and we'll be back for the presentation after this timeout. Become a better bowler with the Dick Rittgers Bowling Camp, July 27th through August 1st at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln. Call for more information, 1-800-535-0678. That's Dick Rittgers Bowling Camp at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln.
Introducing Rage from Columbia 300. Let it out.
Hi, this is Frank Atkinson. Hockey time is indeed here in Omaha, and O2 TV is your ticket to USHL excitement. This season, O2 TV will bring you Lancer games live from the Coliseum and on the road. We'll have the hits, the goals, the saves, everything but the popcorn. Omaha Lancer hockey right here on O2 TV.
The Green Bay Gamblers versus the Omaha Lancers, Friday at 7 on O2 TV.
Tonight's Lancer Team Challenge was sponsored in part by Wolf Brothers, your Western wear consultants, by Firestone out of Papillion, from the fine folks at Firestone, by Busy Bees Monogramming, from bowling shirts to hockey jerseys, Busy Bees Monogramming does it all, and by Miller Beer, our championship frame sponsor. Back one final time at Wildcat Lanes in Papillion, Nebraska. Congratulations to the runner-up squad today, Lancer Kellys, who was defeated here in the finals of the first ever Lancer Team Challenge by the squad that's joined me out here on the approach now. The team Bowlers Emporium, a team primarily made up of folks from Kansas City. And before we get to you guys and congratulate you, we've got the tournament director, Dick Stevens, here. And first of all, Dick, congratulations on a well-run tournament.
Thank you very much. I think it went as well as we could have ever hoped a first-year tournament to go. Everyone had a good time. That's what bowling's all about, having a good time. It was exciting, and we're hoping to do it very soon again.
24 teams in this thing, a lot of excitement in the building, and it comes down to one ball. And boy, this place, it was a lot of fun in here.
It really was, and to think that as many strikes as these guys threw all weekend, it would come down to the last shot. Why, that was, couldn't ask for any more.
They're not going to ask you about that lane 5 at all. The lane 5 here in the championship, boy, it caused some guys some fits out there a little bit.
It looked very tricky. Normally this is a very high-scoring pair, but things happen in tournament play, and it looked tough today. It really did.
All right, Dick's got the presentation. The Lancer Team Challenge trophy goes to the team captain for Bowlers Emporium, to Larry Stepp, and you guys can exchange the trophy.
Congratulations. Great bowling.
Larry, I guess, first of all, congratulations. Tell me a little bit about this squad here. How much have you guys bowled together?
We've never really bowled together. As a matter of fact, as of Friday morning, we weren't coming because we didn't have a fifth. We luckily backed into Pat. Pat, thanks for bowling.
Very welcome.
It's pretty amazing. I'd like to thank Dick Stevens, manager here, Ted Bear and the Omaha Lancers, Miller Beer, Columbia, Bowler's Choice, and Tom Kelly's Pro Shops. They all put on a great tournament.
Tell me what you guys were feeling, especially you. You miss the spare. You have to go back and sit down. You guys are all kind of sitting on the edge of your seats as Ted Bear rolls a strike. He's got to come back and roll a second strike, and I mean to tell you, that pin was wobbling. What was your guys' reaction? Were you looking at each other or what?
That's about it. Yeah, we just lost $200. It was an unbelievable feeling. Unfortunately, the Tin Pin and I on TV kind of have a problem. But that goes back to a team challenge in Wichita. But yeah, we were amazed. I couldn't believe Ted didn't strike. He bowled well all weekend. Every time he needed a strike, he threw it. So it was very unbelievable to me.
All right, congratulations again, Larry Stepp and the rest of the crew here from, of course, Bowlers Emporium. And again, on the set with me, partner in crime here, John Lucido. What climax to this event, coming down to one ball and one pin that just wouldn't roll over.
Great action we had here for the last 2 days, Greg. As we mentioned earlier, the excitement for the last 2 days has just been phenomenal, and we saw it here with all three teams here today. Both matches right down to the 10th frame, and the last one was a wobbler. I can't believe it was so close.
Certainly the Baker system is something that's going to just catch on. We know the World Team Challenges that are now on national TV and here on the local level with the excitement this weekend. This is something that's with the grassroots level of enjoyment these people had this weekend. It's just going to grow and grow from there.
Definitely. Everybody that's ever participated in a Baker-type format tournament has just had so much fun. As you can see it here today, I'm sure everybody should give it a try. The Omaha Lancer tournament that we had here, great start for team bowling.
All righty, John Lucido from Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln, Nebraska. And that's going to wrap it up. 2 pins decided the championship. It was Bowlers Emporium defeating Lancer Kellys for the first ever Lancer Team Challenge. Now, from Wildcat Lanes, I'm Greg Shea for John Lucido saying good night, everybody. Tonight's Omaha Lancers Bowling Challenge was brought to you by the Omaha Lancers hockey team, Kelly's Bowling Pro Shop, Columbia 300 Bowling Tournament, Bowlers Pro Choice, the High Rollers Tournament, and by Polinsky Insurance.